national priority in eating healthy is to motivate and educate people to eat better, and the greatest potential for promoting health and fighting disease actually are fruits. And fruits, if you take all the studies that have been done, are said to lower the risk of all diseases by about 33% or one-third. So the most important thing that came out as kind of a change, a kind of a new standard, is a review, a scientific review in the International Journal of Food Science and Nutrition in 2006 that concluded that the cancer and cardiovascular benefits might be more attributed to antioxidants rather than fiber. The view that pure fruit juices are nutritionally inferior to fruit and vegetables in relation to chronic disease risk is not justified, meaning that juices, per much, were as valuable as fruits in terms of consuming and meeting these goals. So, what is in fruits that combat this disease or combat illness? And the major ingredients that we're looking at are things that are called phytonutrients. These are plant chemicals that contribute to the health of the plant. And there's many, many of these. About 25,000 have been categorized. And then there's 4,000 subcategories that are called polyphenols. And under those are carotenoids, and under those are anthocyanins. So it's a very complicated science, but basically what is contained in the fruits are things that help the fruit to survive, and these are passed on to human beings to help and improve their health. So this is the key ingredient. Another thing that combats human illness that we're hearing more and more about is a substance that are called glyconutrients. These are essential sugars found especially in fruits that are building blocks for an infinite variety of complex bioactive molecules. Basically, they also do many things within our bodies to help improve health. And people give so much bad press to carbohydrates and sugar and glucose, but glyconutrients basically contain glucose and they modify molecules so they're more active. It's somewhat of a complicated science, but basically those are the two major ingredients that we're looking for when we're looking at fruits. We're looking for phytonutrients and we're looking for glyconutrients. Now, how do these phytonutrients, how do these glyconutrients, how do they combat illness? And there's two primary ways. And basically we've all heard of antioxidants and we've all heard of anti-inflammatories. What all these chemicals that are contained within the fruit that help protect them are things that basically have antioxidant action, and the easiest way to think of that is antioxidants prevent against the initiation of a disease process. When the original injury happens, that is what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to neutralize free radicals which cause the initial injury. So you're preventing a lot of potential things when you have a wide variety of antioxidants, which basically fruits and vegetables are the major and best source. Anti-inflammatories, once that injury occurs, once it's initiated, then the progression of that disease, it continues on chronically, it continues on like silent inflammation, so to speak. And that is where basically a lot of these phytonutrients act. Because once it occurs, it helps to act as an anti-inflammatory. It acts against that chronic inflammatory condition where we have pain, redness, and swelling, and so forth. So, with this in mind, and having this criteria, finding foods that had the highest concentration of the top phytonutrients, the top glyconutrients, met the FDA criteria, then we looked at actually 134 different fruits. And we looked at many of the research articles, of which there are over 300,000 research articles on fruits about phytonutrient content, glyconutrient content, and scientific claims. And we tried to come up with 16 fruits that we would rate as the top in terms of these particular components. And the healthiest fruits were more than just the fruits that were listed in research articles, but also where we would obtain them from. So things that make fruits more valuable than others, even though it's the same fruit, is the growing conditions, where they're grown. So many of the fruits that are used come from the Amazon. It is a very difficult place for plants to grow, and the more difficult it is growing, the more phytonutrients they develop, because those conditions make for a more concentrated phytonutrients and so forth. That what's most important is that these plants grow wild, because when you don't take care of the plant, and the plant is exposed to viruses, bacteria, molds, and yeast, insects, birds, drought, floods, radiation, heat, toxins, oxidation, overcrowding, then the plant is stressed. And when it's stressed, it's forced to develop more of these phytonutrients, which basically are health building. So the key things were to get plants from around the world that had the best growing conditions and that were grown wild. And they met this criteria. And they were the acerola, the aronia, bilberry, blueberry, camu, cranberry, purple grape, lychee, nashi, passion fruit, pomegranate, prune, wolfberry, kiwi, and the acai. And these are the ones that seem to meet the criteria for those very important phytonutrients and glyconutrients. I'm just going to spend a few seconds to talk about the acai. And it's often referred to as nature's perfect food because it's unique. It's almost an anomaly that it has the protein profile of an egg, fatty acid ratio of olive oil, low glycemic index, exceptional concentration of over 16 phytonutrients and antioxidants, a generous amount of trace minerals, loaded with vitamins, and an excellent source of fiber. Because of these phytonutrient contents, so it's a perfect place to get this particular fruit that's loaded with antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. And these are just some of the very important phytonutrients, anthocyanin, beta-cytosterol, and 16 others that are in this remarkable plant. Now, once we have all these fruits, it's not enough because what you see, if a product says it has acai or a product says it has blueberry, it's totally different what grows on that tree and what you get when you consume it. Because when we talk about phytonutrients, not about vitamins, minerals, or sugars, or fats, or fiber, when we talk about phytonutrients, once the plant is picked, it starts to decompose. It starts to break down within 10 minutes of picking it, and pretty much about all of it may be lost within 48 hours, especially in places where there's high concentration of microbes and heat and radiation like there is in the Amazon. So one of the things is we've got to be able to stabilize this particular product as quickly as possible. And so we look for places that we can get it from the tree and get it frozen to stop the decay as quickly as possible. And then this very important step, which is the freeze-drying process. And this freeze-drying process is basically a superior form of preservation where we use a vacuum technique so that we don't destroy these valuable phytonutrients. It's at low temperature and it stops these chemical reactions which would decompose the phytochemicals. And so when studies are done on the average percent or the phytochemicals that remain with freeze-drying, that we retain 100% of those phytochemicals or phytonutrients compared to other products that are air-dried that retain 45% and spray-drying even less at 30%. So that alone means that we are being able to take directly from the tree to your home what is on